Hey everyone, I think you should learn something new every day. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a time lapse out of a series of pictures inside of After Effects. So you're going to open up After Effects and create your project, and then come into here where you have all of your pictures. Now if we go out one folder, you can see that I have a lot more pictures and they're all named differently. And that's because I inadvertently set my camera up to do what's called bracketing. So this middle picture here is what the exposure was set at, and then the picture to the left is that exposure minus a third of a stop, and then the picture to the right is that exposure plus a third of a stop. So that way you've got a range of exposures. Now the problem with that is if we did all of these in sequence, it's going to fluctuate and change a lot, because just looking at this thumbnail here, you can see that these shadows are a heck of a lot brighter in the third of a stop brighter, but the sky is even more blown out. So what we do is pick of the three which one you want to stick with. I stuck with the third of a stop less, just because it has more detail in the sky. So I chose that one, and then I brought all of them from every single picture into a new folder. And then what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure that you rename them, because you're going to have gaps in the original file names, and that's not going to translate when you create a sequence inside of After Effects. So once you've done that, then you can go ahead and select all of these by hitting Control A. Make sure you hit Camera Raw Sequence. You can click Create a Composition, and that will make a composition once you brought it in there. If you don't want to do that, then just uncheck it and you create one after everything's already in there. And then there's nothing more in the Import As, so it's going to be imported as footage, and then we just go ahead and click Import. It's going to import the selected items, and then it's going to bring you to the first picture that you have, and this is the Camera Raw window, so you can make minor adjustments. So we could go bring down the whites because those are really blown out, and then bring down some of the highlights still. Maybe make this a little more warmer, get rid of some of the purple, or maybe add a little bit more purple just to add some more warmth into it. And this will translate to all of the other photos as well. So then we just go ahead and click OK, and it creates our sequence, and we just have to wait for that to load in, because if we look at the sequence settings by going to composition and composition settings, then we'll see that this is 5,472 by 3648. So this is essentially a 5K composition. And so this is going to take a long time to load. And you can of course change the composition settings to 1080 or 4K. For export, because this is obviously a 4:3 aspect ratio, so you'll want to do a 16:9 for your export. But we can go ahead and scroll through here and just take a look at all of the frames and kind of take a quick look. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the resolution down to 1/4 just so things load faster. So now that we played it through, we can kind of get an idea of what needs to be done. Obviously, the color temperature changes inevitably because of the sun going down. So if we wanted to, we could probably keyframe that. And of course, this isn't really the most beautiful shot in the world, so it's kind of hard to judge what you should do to make it look better. But what we can do is go up to the effects and go to the color correction drop down box and just kind of look for ways that you could make it look better. So we can do an overall lumetri color, so that's going to give us the most amount of options in a single effect, because we can go to the basic correction and have the color temperature right here. So obviously, you know, make it super dark here, but maybe we want to go to the first frame and keyframe that color temperature where it is, and then go to the last frame and then make it super warm, so that way it matches up more than what it already does. And that's not bad. That's got a nice even tone to it. And then another thing that you can do, you can either use the exposure, or for this one you can just turn down the opacity for it. But obviously the sun goes down, but it's not very far below the horizon, so for a while it stays pretty bright, and that's kind of not very satisfying. So what we can do is, let's see here, this is 5 seconds, so we can go to like 20 frames before, and then hit the exposure, and then go to the last frame, and then drop it down. And you might have to use the opacity for this one just because it doesn't go all the way out. But you can see how and you might even want to go to where you see the sun right through here go down the horizon, and then maybe even do your opacity that way and or exposure that way, just so you can get some refinement. But once you have it the way you want it to look, and you're happy with the way yours specifically looks, then you can go ahead and go up to File, hit Export, and then either add to Adobe Media Encoder or add to the render queue. And we're just going to add it to the render queue because I don't already have Media Encoder open. And then we just change the output, call it sunset time lapse, and then change the location, put it in the time lapses folder that I have, and then change the format from AVI to QuickTime, and then change the format to DNxHR or DNxHD, and then we will do DNxHD HQ 8-bit. Click OK. Click OK, and then just go ahead and hit render. So thanks for learning with me today. Be sure to comment if you have any questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe.